All right, all right. Welcome back to the show. We have had just an amazing time so far. But listen, this morning, we are honored to welcome the incredible Elissa Montanti, founder of the Global Medical Relief Fund and a true force of compassion and courage. From her Staten Island home, Elissa launched a mission that's changed the lives of over 500 children from war-torn and disaster-struck regions. She's provided them with life-saving medical care and a safe haven at her Dream to Dare house, Dare to Dream house, I should say. Dubbed the Saint of Staten Island and featured in the documentary Let's Do a Miracle, her journey is a powerful reminder that one heart can spark a global wave of healing. We are beyond thankful to have her with us this morning. Yes, we are excited. Elissa, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Of course. It is our pleasure. Our pleasure. We are excited. There's so much that you do. I said, Nadine's probably sick of me from saying it, but when people have so much going on and so many positive things that they're doing, I call them a Swiss Army knife, just having their hands in multiple things, you know?
Uh-huh.
Well, you are definitely one of those, and we wanted to jump right in and get a feel for your early beginnings. How did you get involved? Did you always have a heart for people, and what is the beginning of your story?
Yes, well, I always did. I worked as a lab assistant. I wanted to join the Peace Corps, but I didn't think I had the constitution to do it. My mother was ill at that time, and I just loved being around to help people, and to make people happy. That was a while ago. To fast forward, let me see, I'm really fast forwarding, but in 1998, 97, I was approached to write lyrics because I'm a songwriter. And singer-songwriter, and to write lyrics for a local fundraiser that was being held in Staten Island to raise money for toys and school supplies for the children of Bosnia, in which I knew little of, and I kind of felt guilty. I had read, some of it in the media. And so I titled, which became a song. I got together with one of my composer friends, and I titled Let's Do a Miracle. So what happened was I went to this fundraiser, and it was, again, to raise money for toys and school supplies. The ambassador to Bosnia at the time had read about it in the local paper, the Staten Island Advance, and he thanked everyone for doing it. And I thought, maybe I can set up a meeting and just maybe, he'll meet with me and I could do more. And so, it took me 2 months to get the meeting. I went to the United Nations and I stood in his office, and he thanked me for coming, thanked for my interest in wanting to help further. And he said, quite frankly, we have much stronger needs than pencil cases and coloring books. And he reached into his drawer and he handed me this letter that this 11-year-old boy at the time, 14 when he wrote it with his father, asking for 2 new arms and a leg. And that's when my whole life kind of spun out of control, like, oh my God.
Wow.
You could say it was an epiphany, because when I read the letter and I saw his picture, it was no, it sounds crazy, but like his voice was talking to me.
Yeah.
And I knew I had to do something. At the time, I was going through some anxiety, panic attacks, because I had lost my mother and my childhood sweetheart and my grandmother. And so I really didn't know how and what I would do, but I'm propelled forward. And I approached doctors and prosthetic companies and airlines on how I could help him. And it was miraculous, because in 24 hours I pulled it together. I still don't know how I did it.
Wait, 24 hours you pulled it together.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's something just inside of you just like exploded and was like, I need to do something. Yeah.
I still don't know how I did. Well, it was kind of God's intervention, I think. But after I did all this, I went to sleep at night and I said, oh my God, where is this boy going to stay? I only have 1-bedroom townhouse and my dog, which was 150 pounds, Newfoundland. And I was like, I don't know where he's going to stay. And I woke up in the morning and I said, you know what? I'll make it work. And in my living room, got a day bed. And so I brought Kenan, and he stayed with me for 4 months with his mom. And within those 4 months, we bonded. And I realized the need, the great need in this war-torn country, Bosnia. So while Kenan was given back 2 new arms and a leg and a life, he also, while I was helping him, he was helping me, inadvertently, not planned, but so there's really something to say about when you help people, little did I know that he'd be putting me back together as well. So after Kenan went back, I said I want to do more, and I planned a trip to Bosnia, and I compiled lists of children in orphanages and hospitals, and I visited war-torn country. And the Shriners Children's Hospital had seen me on New York One because they had made me New Yorker of the Week at the time. So it played over and over, which was the best thing that could happen. And the Shriners said, hey, we can help. So that's when I called my accountant and I said, how do I start a charity?
Yeah.
And I did. So fast forward, because there's a lot. For 14 years, it was Bosnia, then it was Liberia, then it was the tsunami in Indonesia. And then the war broke out in Iraq. And I needed to go. And I went. And I started bringing children from Iraq.
Wait. So you physically went to Iraq, saw what was happening, and individually met with the kids in person, right?
What happened was I had to fly to Kuwait because there was nothing in Baghdad. The airport wasn't working. It was actually right after, but it was still happening when I got there. So I went to Kuwait, and from Kuwait I had to get a visa and get into Iraq. Wow. And I went with the British military because that's where the first city was that I went, which was Basra, and the British military occupied Basra. So we went there, and that's when I visited hospitals. But it took me a year to get the first boy out because there was no government, and I had to work through humanitarian parole and whatnot. After that, I went back again, and I brought back kids, in which I'm jumping ahead, but one of the kids was blinded because he was coming home from school, 7 years old, and he walked into an explosion and lost his plate and his arm. And that boy today, I kept him here. The charity brings the children each year because we just don't help them once. So they go back and we help them until they're 18 years old. And that's what the Shriners help us. So Ahmed in particularly, there was no way he could go back. I mean, he came back and went back, came back, went back. 15 years old, I said to his mother, can I keep him here? And I did. Got him through high school. And he today is amazing. He's 27 and he never saw a keyboard in his life. And he's a genius playing and writing music. And he's now on the international soccer team, blind team, and headed for the World Cup. But anyway.
Wow. No, that's huge. Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
Kenan, the first boy, is truly like my son. It's as if I gave birth to him. And he was able to get a student visa because he's brilliant. And he works for one of the biggest institutions, which was Credit Suisse, and now I think it's USB. A very big position. And again, he lost his 2 arms and a leg, and he drives and has a family.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, but I could go on and on about other children, but long story short, because I always make long story shorts, after 15 years, I was approached to be on 60 Minutes, and I was, oh my God. And they said, we learned about this woman working out of a walk-in closet that's helping children. So they did a segment, which was unbelievable. And Tyler Perry had seen the segment, and his publicist called, and they said, what do you need? I said, it would be great if I could get a house, because I was housing a couple of kids in my own house, and then I was at a former orphanage on Staten Island, and then a Jesuit retreat house. And so he bought the Dare to Dream house.
Wow. All because of the 60 Minutes promotion. How
it
beautiful
was
is that?
incredible. And that really put the foundation on the map because to tell you the truth, it hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
We help children because we help children in other countries. You know, people are like, well, why don't you help your own? And, you know, it doesn't lay easy with me.
Well, and I also think humanity is humanity, right? I don't think there's a line, an imaginary line that divides us
It
as
shouldn't
people.
be.
Yeah,
They're
right?
absolutely. And, you know, people here don't know. You know, some of them don't see beyond their own backyard, and I can understand and appreciate they want to help children here. However, we do help children here. The Shriners do at no cost. So it's not that this is not coming out of taxpayers' money, believe me. This is all private donations and grants. But the children that we help, they have to walk maybe a mile or two to get to school. They don't have a school bus. And some of these kids are on a crutch because they're missing limbs.
Right.
So, you know, I could go on and on about that.
Yeah, and that, I mean, it speaks to also you got into this to try and help your own trauma, or maybe your own trauma kind of helped to propel you into helping these kids, but then you see their trauma. So you said it hasn't been an easy road. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you going to push past all of those barriers, even internally, not just externally?
You know, more than ever, I'm driven to help these kids because it's the right thing to do, and we're here on this earth to make a difference and to live with purpose and compassion. I know firsthand what these children go through. I have children that have lost limbs through the tsunami, dangling from a tree. Children in Haiti, when I went after the earthquake, little Sarah being trapped under her home with her mother's dead body. And they got her out 2 days later, who lost her leg. And I have so many stories, so many. Kenan, of course, who stepped on a landmine. Ahmed, who walked into the crossfire. So many, so many. And so I'm so up close and personal with these kids that I know what these children go through. And I just want to help. And because I have the means and the resources as far as the medical end of it, there's no stopping me.
Yeah.
Amen to that. You keep going.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Do you have a story specifically? You know, you have mentioned that there's just a semblance of healing that occurs for you as well as you're, you know, working with the children. Is there maybe one specific case that sticks out more that you've resonated with?
There's many, but one of them is when Kenan first came, and I'm upstairs and I hear him yelling, and I go downstairs, I run downstairs, and he's sweating and he's back and forth and swaying, and he says, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, and he was having an anxiety attack. And I said, you're not going to die, you're having a panic attack, and it's like, and you're going to be fine. And I cradled him and I felt his energy, and I believe he felt mine. And I really feel nothing in life is a coincidence. This all came to me, you know, to write a song and title the song "Let's Do a Miracle," in which I feel that's what's happening. And then there's other situations where I help. My charity helps Tanzanian kids. This is a nightmare. Because this is so deliberate. These children in different parts of Africa, albinism is prevalent. And so these children, albino, there is this sick belief, that these people think that it's good luck if you have some body part of a child, not Tanzanian, albino. And people in the government and people politically in that realm will go to like a witch doctor and say, I need good luck. I want to rise in my profession or whatever it is. And they say, okay, we will give you a good luck charm. And then they send these people out. They pay them a few $1,000s, and they go into the villages at night and they machete these children's.
Oh my gosh.
When I heard of this, I could not believe it. I had read about one of the boys, which is the first one, and it took me 2 months to finally find him. And there's this wonderful organization called Under the Same Sun, which provides a safe house in Dar es Salaam, away from the village and school. So I was able to contact him, and I said, I see this little boy, 5 years old, had lost his limb. And he said, yes, can you help 3 other children? I said, absolutely. And that's when I started. And it's about, I guess, about 10 years now that I'm helping these kids. In fact, they're coming back in August, and I help every year. So there's so many stories, and that's why when people say, well, why don't you help your own? They are our own.
Yeah.
We all share this world, and it hurts, because it's our worst situation in this country is their very, very best.
Yeah, and it's all about perspective, right, too? It's really hard to gain that perspective until you visually see it. And I think that's why it was very important. You tell me, but I feel like once I looked at the trailer for the documentary that you did entitled Let's Do a Miracle, which also ties into the song you wrote, tells the story that you were just sharing with us, it puts it all into perspective, what you're saying in words visually. And I feel like some people get impacted more in that way when they're able to see it. And we actually have a little bit of that trailer of the documentary. So let's actually put visually what you were just speaking about and then break it down a little bit more. Let's check out the trailer.
Okay.
For more than 25 years, the Global Medical Relief Fund has helped more than 500 children from 60 countries and counting to heal after being injured by war, disaster, or evil. These kids have albinism, which makes them targets for evil in its purest form. They are victims of the belief espoused by witch doctors that their body parts, turned into charms, bring good luck. Baraka was just 6 when he was attacked. Pendo 15. And Magulu was 8. Elissa continues to help kids from all over the world. They return every year for new prosthetics as they grow and for surgeries and rehabilitation.
I mean, it just hurts your gut. It's just gut-wrenching to watch that, but it's so important. So after people watch the full documentary, what do you hope they take away from learning about these stories?
Well, actually, we're revamping it a little bit more.
Okay.
Because we started during COVID, and so much has happened. For example, I have, which is another documentary in itself, I have 2 girls from Afghanistan who I helped Marcia when she was 6. And we got a letter from the Ministry of Health in Kabul saying that she was shot. The Taliban had ambushed the father's car because he was working against the Taliban in a jail. And they shot the father, the young son, and Marcia survived. And we brought her, the bullet went through in her mouth, out her eye, and she came, and we got her surgery, a prosthetic eye. She was here about a year. She went back, and then I kind of lost contact, and I said, oh, dear God, I hope she's okay. And then 5 years ago, I got an email saying that she's fine, but she has pain. She needs to come back. Long story short, it was right after COVID, right during COVID, and then the embassy had closed and I couldn't get her. And then right after the embassy closed, our troops had pulled out. And now she's in a basement in Kabul with her sister, who had gone to nursing school in the university, but now that was shut down because of the Taliban, and they were trapped. And there was no way to get them out. And I prayed and I prayed. And we corresponded for months. And the idea came that if they could get a Pakistan visa, not me, but them, because there was no American embassy anymore, there was no way to get out. And so they were able to get a Pakistan visa. But before that, I had asked a mother of a little girl that we help every year who was born without legs and an arm. Lovely, lovely girl, and her mother is wonderful. And I said, Belgis, if they're able to get a Pakistan visa, can you possibly help them? Meet them at the border, take them in. I'll help whatever I have to do. She said, Elissa, absolutely, I'll do anything. Wow. And so that was my saving grace. That was my candle at night, the light at the end of the tunnel, and God talking to me saying, you can do this. And so they crossed the border, the muddy border, because then there was floods in Pakistan. Long story short, I got them American visa from Pakistan, the American embassy, and they're here. And so they came, and I personally said, you really need to file for asylum. You can't go back because they'll be killed.
Wow.
Because, And so they're here. And now, unfortunately, the new administration with the what happened is the Afghanistan that were under protection that helped all of our military stay safe that were here, they have to go back, and they said Afghanistan's safe. It's not safe. They're burning women alive.
My God.
So I'm very afraid for them. So I'm incorporating this story into the documentary because these girls will be killed. That's it, and it's not safe to go back.
Yeah,
and they're not under the same. The people that they were allowed to stay here with the interpreters and the people that helped our soldiers. These kids came. Marcia came from medical, and she has asylum. So it's not the same thing, but I'm just afraid that they would reject it. So I'm praying that they don't.
Yeah, well, hopefully they don't as well. I mean, yeah, these stories, they are, it seems like you have hundreds of them, and each one is so sad, but I think at the center of all of it really is your faith. It's sounding like you're praying, and I feel like there's a higher power there, which is so beautiful. And I want to dive more into that and more that you're doing, but we're just going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue with your story because we have a lot more questions, and we really want to highlight more of your work. So please, everyone, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more when we return. Welcome back into the show. Now, we are still here joined by the incredible Elissa Montanti. She's joining us virtually, so welcome back to the program, Elissa. You're still with us here? There you are. Hi. It has been such a pleasure speaking with you. I'm so excited for our conversation to continue. You are the founder of Global Medical Relief Fund. And I just want to know, you guys have, as a fund, as an organization, you've reached a lot of recognition, especially in recent days, from CNN Heroes you've been awarded with. Of course, you were on 60 Minutes. And even a big thing is that your foundation, you were able to go, representing your foundation, to ring the first bell at the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, that is huge. That is putting your organization literally on a global scale. Everybody sees that. There you are. So just tell us, what does it mean to you for an organization that you started literally in a small apartment out in Staten Island to grow to this, to seeing you here ringing that first bell? What does that mean to you about all the work you've put into it?
It's surreal, actually. You know, it doesn't seem real sometimes.
Yeah.
But I always say determination is the key to success. And if you really believe in something and you break down negativity, because negativity just builds walls, and you just believe, and you believe in what you believe in, and just forge forward.
Yeah. Yeah, just pushing forward. Well, I just think it's incredible what you're doing. And I just want to know, what do you want people to remember the most about the children that you're speaking up about, that you're advocating for? Once they hear these stories, what do you hope they take away from all these stories?
That we should really feel blessed in this country. Because, again, to reiterate, our worst is some of these kids' very, very best. You have to see it to believe it. And, I just can't say enough that I wish that more people would understand what other parts of the world go through. We are so blessed in this country. We're so blessed.
Yeah.
And yes, I don't live in luxury, and would I like to do this or that. Yeah, of course. But God, when I see what's going on, in the war, in the world, and war that's happening, and when you see these poor children, people suffering, and I say, thank you, God, for everything I have. And just be thankful. Just be thankful for what we have in this country. It's the greatest country in the world.
That's amazing.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I have a question about how do you determine, I know some of the children that you have, they end up, unfortunately they might have to go back. How do you measure how long they might stay with you and whether they go back, and how do you keep tabs on that process?
Right. Well, they all have to go back. I mean, the children that I've mentioned were exceptions, like Ahmed being blind, and Ken was on a student visa. And the them I'd love to keep here, and the two girls from Afghanistan. But when they come, it depends. If it's follow-up, they usually here about a month and a half, because they've already been here, so they just get refitted for their prosthetics and they go back. If it's new, they may need surgery, so they may be here 6 months. But they all do go back, and they come back over the years, maybe a year after, or depending how fast they grow or if they need more surgery. We do keep up with them. Thanks for the internet. Because now everybody is on it at some point, and we always have a liaison in the country that these children come from. So we established that, which is good. And because we have to work the American visa, we have to, we need all the information to be given to us, especially if it's a new child. We need everything from vaccines to birth certificates to passports and filling out all sorts of information. But we keep in touch with them. And I always say that, I say my kids, people say, do you have children? I said, yeah, over 500. I always say that, these kids are not numbers. They're not numbers to us. They certainly are not, because they're all part of this global family. And what's so wonderful is that I look at the Dare to Dream House like a mini UN, because you may have 4 different families from 4 different parts of the world, not speaking the same language, not having the same ethnic background, and they bond. Well, first of all, the kids could relate, because it's not just them that, are missing a limb or have been burned. But they bond as a family, and they eat together at the table, and they communicate. And you have Google Transfer. We have computers in the charity, and they laugh together, they cry together, and when they go home, they formed this wonderful friendship. And it could be from Iraq to South America. And one story I have to say is that when I was coming back from Haiti, when they had the earthquake, I'm on the plane, and I told the 3 girls that I was with that had their limbs, and the guardians, that they were going to be joined with a boy from the Congo and 2 Iraqi children. So little Fabian, who had become 17 years old, had become Sarah's guardian, because her mother had died. She said, Iraq, bad people. And I said, no. I said, Fabi, there's good and bad all over the world. I said, they're not. And my whole story is, so they came and they lived amongst each other for 2 months. And when they left, they cried. They had become so close.
Yeah, well, you live under one roof, and you have kind of a shared trauma in a sense, too. I love that you're breaking down those cultural divides, and people are realizing we're all just human at the end of the day. We may look different, come from somewhere else that I don't know what you're even saying, but I know the human heart. I think that's beautiful what you guys are doing there. And I just want to know, so we've been talking, obviously you founded this, you started this, but what does your team look like now? We just saw some footage of, there was a board meeting that you guys have. So how many people are part of the foundation, and what does the behind the scenes look like?
Right. So we have 7 people on the board. Kenan is one of the first boy that I helped. Wow. Yeah, and he's brilliant. He's brilliant. Yeah.
How great is that?
Yeah, I have a board, and I have 2 girls working for me.
Okay.
14 years I did it on my own. out of my walk-in
Yes.
closet. This is my walk-in closet, by the way, which is my office. Yeah, no, it is. It is. I put a window. I just got rid of my clothes. So,
That's beautiful.
but the office, the house, the Data Dream house is down the street, and the two girls work there. And that upstairs is where I have the bedrooms, and that's where, and the kitchen. And we provide, we go grocery shopping for them, and the food comes, and each guardian will cook a different night and different meals because we get the different spices that they need, and it's wonderful. And it's really the Data Dream house. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And do you guys ever work with volunteers? Do people reach out to you wondering how, like, if somebody really wants to volunteer, get involved, how can they do that? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, we have a form that they could go onto the website, which is GMRFchildren.org, and they could fill out the form. And there's different things they can do. They could help fundraise. We can have a day of play. We don't like to get too involved with taking them somewhere because of their limitations. But there are different things. We can have a day of art, and people come over and share the day with them, or have a pizza party, or they could, there's different things. Yeah. So they could fill out the form right onto the website.
Beautiful. I'm sure a lot of people watching are very interested in that.
Yeah, and what does it look like if one is participating? What does a day-to-day look like for you there?
Well, it depends if they have a doctor's appointment or the hospital, which is Philadelphia, which is almost 2 hours away. So that's up early in the morning, and Maria, who works for me, she does the driving and she goes. Sometimes I will be with her. And then they'll come back, or if they don't have the hospital or wherever it is appointment, because we also have, I also recruit a dentist and pediatrician. So sometimes they have to go to the dentist, but we have 2 computers, and I mean, I wish we had more, but we have 2 computers. We have a nice big screen TV with video, a lot of books, and we have a backyard, which is nice. And right across the street, luckily, where I went to school, actually, there's a little field of soccer, so they could play a lot of the kids that come here from these countries play soccer. And it's amazing what they could do. And then down the street, I have the beach. And I have a balcony off of the house, and in the summertime it's very nice, and they could but there's different things. And when we can, with a budget, they love to go to the city. They love to see Times Square. So we try to go to the zoo. We try to do different things as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, give them a little bit of normalcy in a time that's so not normal, and a time where they really need it. I think that's beautiful. And you mentioned that you recruited some dentists and maybe some doctors as well. And I just want to talk about that network that you've created, because it spanned across borders, from doctors, hospitals, volunteers. What does that act of kindness behind the scenes look like, not just here in America, but also internationally, from everybody you've worked with?
You mean who I've recruited here?
Well, who you've recruited here, who you've also, maybe if you've worked with anybody to, I don't know if you work with any doctors internationally to maybe find who these children are. What does that network look like?
Well, here, I went to my local dentist and asked if he can help the kids when they need help.
Amazing. Good.
And the pediatrician who I met, he was right on board.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. As far as international, it's funny you bring that up, because during the war, the conflict there, I had gotten, it was a call from a doctor working in the basement of a mosque on a boy amputating his leg, learning about my charity. My charity is not huge. We do big things and helped 65 countries to date. But he heard about how I helped a little girl from Libya. And he said, do you think you can help this boy? A missile, hit him and he lost his leg, and that's another long story, how I brought him. So doctors learn, I guess, word of mouth from another doctor that works in doing mission trips or whatever. Because I know think there's a lot of organizations that do what we do. I'm sure there are, but I think that the uniqueness of what we do is that we bring the children back every year. We just don't provide one prosthetic because they grow. So, and then in Iraq, I had gotten emails, dozens of emails from the military asking if we would help this child, that child, because they learned about the charity. In fact, when I went to Iraq, they had said that they couldn't believe that I was going because there weren't any organizations going into Iraq, and I was shocked. So I've helped a lot of children from Iraq.
Yeah.
And one story I have to say, when I brought two of the children from Iraq, it was on the front page of the paper, the Staten Island Advance. It was a beautiful article. And two little kids, and somebody had written into the editorial saying, how dare we bring kids from Iraq? Our soldiers should be on the front page. And the truth of the matter is our soldiers were on their front page because it was them who I'd get so many emails a week asking for help. So it was them that, because they connected with me, that these children were being helped.
Wow. Yeah, they're the ones because they were on the ground and they saw what happened. Yeah. And that's the thing that's not really talked about so much is that civilian casualties that take place during war. And so that's what you guys are highlighting.
Wow. Now, where you guys stand right now, what would you say are there existing needs or things that you could use more of, whether that's volunteers, supplies? What are things that can help your movement and the growth of everything that you're already doing?
Donations, because now with the state of economy, it's not great. And donations are kind of like slow. So donations mean helping a child. And we're committed to so many children for follow-up, let alone the new children that we need to help.
Yeah.
Thank God we have the house, so really it's donations that we need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Donations. That's great. Yeah.
Donations. Wow. Wow. And also, so how would it work for people, I know, based in Staten Island, but for people who want to get involved because you help so many people globally, are there ways that even people can get involved with even like sponsorship of, children globally? How do people get involved as a whole if they want to be a part, whether it's the local body or outside?
Well, some people actually would like to, they see children on our website and they say, I'd like to sponsor them, meaning that they would, because we pay for airfare. I mean, we do not get any break. In fact, we have, and often we have to have we can't have an open ticket. We have to have a round trip ticket. So very often they're not ready to go back, or they're ready to go back early, and we have to cancel and we have to pay for that, aside from the astronomical airfare. So sometimes people want to help with that, sponsor a child, and then they put a face to, who they're helping, and then come and visit, how to get involved. Again, they could put that on the volunteer list if they have a specific, what they would like to do, and that would be helpful.
Okay, wonderful. It's so great to just know, because I know so many people out there are definitely going to be looking to help you guys out in so many different ways. It's great you have a variety. And I just have more of a personal question for you right now. We've been talking about everything you've been up to, everything you're doing. It's emotionally probably takes a big toll on you every day. So how do you ground yourself? How do you center yourself? Is music still an important part of your life? I know that music kind of started this journey for you. Does that kind of bring you back to the center? I know you write poetry as well. So tell us a little bit about how you get your mind right.
Music. I'm in rock band. A rock and roll band.
Yeah, tell us.
I'm an ordinary person. That's why when people say, oh, the saint is Staten Island, I'm not a saint. I'm just doing what I should be doing. And I love music, and I write, and I have originals, and I'm right here petting my dog, other baby, who is my wonderful therapy. I love him, love him, love him. Noah is his name.
Noah?
Yeah, Noah, like Noah's Ark.
Oh, I love it.
So, music, my dog, writing. I love the ocean. I love my family. I love my friends. And I love my charity.
It's beautiful. Well, it's such a beautiful charity, and we just wanted to thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing everything you're doing. And while you may not think it, we definitely think you are a hero. So just thank you for what you're doing for those who can't really help themselves. Yeah, thank you so much. So guys, you've heard all the different ways that you guys can help. You can support, you can donate. We have the website, the Instagram, everything is linked right below. So thank you once again, and we'll definitely be watching what you're up to.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, that was Elissa Montanti. So thank you so much for watching that interview with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we have more of the show when we return, so don't go anywhere.